Dietitians have tried to argue that sugar dependency isn't real. That when you and I feel compelled to have chocolate, ice cream, cookies, or whatever junk pulls you, the answer is to have just a little bit. That's going to somehow make you feel better. The idea is that if you just eat it without restriction, you'll get bored of it. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried it and actually had that experience where you eat a little bit of it and you're just like, I'm fine? I can tell you that I didn't. And even if we might get bored of eating milk chocolate, there's chocolate with nuts or coconut. There's chocolate with nougat or fruit. There's so much choice. And we haven't even touched ice cream or cookies. Let's talk about why we can't control sugar cravings, because there's a real reason behind us craving and chasing and running after food. And just like you, I was confused about it. And that kept me trapped overweight for more than 10 years. I was struggling with joint pain for 23 years. And I was only able to end the sugar cravings when I start like and by the way, those sugar cravings started 10 when I was like 10 years old. Like maybe even 9. And I was only able to break these stupid cravings when I understood what was happening in my brain and in my body, right? That was making me act against my health. The stuff that was happening in my brain and my body, actually acting against my health. Endless choice isn't accidental. We think we're eating different things because they taste different, but underneath it all, it's just different combinations of the same chemicals flavored to excite, right? By giving us options, each food feels new and it overcomes our satiety because it seems different. Again, underneath the cover, different the same chemicals just put together differently. Flavorings, right? This is Howard Moskowitz's bliss point doing its job. Every one of these processed foods has the perfect combination of salt, sugar, and fat, that trifecta that I talk about all the time. That trifecta in your food makes them irresistible. Even food that don't taste sweet. So I'm talking about stuff like spaghetti sauce. It still follows the salt, sugar, fat rules. Moskowitz pointed out that if we were like if he pointed out in his book that if it weren't for salt, sugar, and fat being tweaked very carefully, many of the foods weren't edible. The classic example that he wrote about in the book was the cereal, where they all got different combinations of the salt, sugar, fat flavor, like combinations of cereal in progression, and it didn't taste right. It was not something that any of them would have eaten except that last version that pulled everything together. Getting us to overeat processed foods on repeat daily has a consequence, right? It's doing some actual damage and changes in our body. Given that our body has zero dietary need for carbohydrates, we need to keep in mind that eating meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt would mean no insulin spike, right? Like, we need to learn to feed our bodies what it needs. Those 9 essential amino acids and 2 essential fatty acids that it cannot produce. Whenever our body asks us for food, that's what we should be going out and bringing to our body, because that's what it cannot make. When we eat ultra processed food instead, the excess sugar we are consistently eating is consistently spiking our insulin. And after years of chronically high insulin, we become insulin resistant. That has an actual impact on us, Wellness Warrior. Year over year, we are getting sicker. I remember when I was a kid, we ate so much rice, potatoes, and pasta. Every supper had rice, potatoes, or pasta. Lunch always had bread. And just for clarity, my parents were not like junk food buying people. Like probably grew up in one of the cleanest houses when it comes to junk food of anybody in my family. My parents did not do that. Once in a blue moon, we would get some kind of cookies or ice cream, but we didn't have. We were not the kids that could go to the pantry and just open it and have all this choice. My parents did not buy a lot of junk food. But my mom would make traditional treats, right? Because again, Caribbean background. Like she made sweetbread and other like fun things, but always homemade. So I'm not talking about the crazy stuff from the ultra processed crazy stuff from companies. Homemade stuff. And still today, I can see the connection between the salt, sugar, fat on a typical meal that I used to eat or in the home baked stuff that my mom, and she still didn't make that all the time, by the way. The time that it takes to bake and whatever, my mom worked full time. We weren't having junk food all the time. I can see the connection between our meals and the occasional treats and the occasional junk food that they would buy us once in a while. Like I could see the connection. The bliss point combination in the real food and the bliss point combination in the processed food are absolutely connected. I remember myself chasing chocolate or cookies whenever they were in my house, right? When my parents actually bought stuff, I went for it. I was primed to chase them with the healthy foods I used to eat, right? Those regular normal meals. But this is where the argument of eat the junk food and you'll get sick of it starts to break down. Because even though the normal meals spike insulin, because they do, they don't necessarily excite our mouth, our tongue. It's not going crazy with normal food. Highly processed foods, though, spike insulin and excite our mouth and brain. They engage the senses in a very different way that human bodies just aren't expecting, and our brain absolutely reacts. When our brain starts reacting, we don't get bored of the processed foods, right? We like it, or we think we like it, and we eat more of it. That excitement gets us to eat more of it, right? It's exciting. We don't have the natural off switch that we have when we eat our meals, right? That's why when you, even if you feel that the meal tastes good, you can still stop. This isn't just a feeling, Wellness Warrior. In a controlled study, people eating an ultra processed diet ate about 500 more calories a day. And I'm saying calories because that's the metric that they used. We know human bodies don't work on calories, but that's the way they qualified how much extra food. 500 more calories a day than when eating unprocessed food. Even when both diets offered the same macros, they calibrated them to the macros. Their bodies just weren't able to stop the same way when they were eating ultra processed foods. They overate. There were occasions when I was overweight, Wellness Warrior, knowing that chocolate was not something that I should be eating, and I ate it anyway. That's not just my experience. I'm going to point it out. I've had many people talk to me and tell me that they lived the exact same thing, right? Living occasions where compulsion for the food overpowers what common sense is telling us to do. And to me, that's about the regular foods priming us to chase the processed foods. And then the processed foods injecting variety, right? The bliss point science that overtakes our brain and the natural satiety signals and pull us into craving loops over and over again, because to our mouth, this cookie tastes different than this cookie, even though to our body it's driving the same problem, because internally it's the same stuff. The logic is that healthy people wouldn't get pulled into the craving loops. That's another thing they tell us, right? They have something to say for everything. We're not going to get pulled in to the craving loops, even though every one of us can talk about when we've gotten pulled into the craving. My problem with the logic that healthy people aren't going to get pulled into the craving loop is that we have been eating high carbohydrate foods since we began eating solid foods. We want to believe we are in a healthy body, despite the fact that the numbers say something completely different. The current numbers on the population says that 88 to 93% of adults are metabolically unhealthy. That leaves 7% of us, Wellness Warrior, healthy. Can we just pause for a second and understand that we can talk about metabolic health issues? And we know that insulin resistance is a metabolic health issue. If you've got excess weight on your body, you have a metabolic health issue. If you've got inflammation in your body, you've got a metabolic health issue. If you've got PCOS or any of the diabetes or metabolic, moments where I had weight and inflammation, joint pain problems. So I was not walking into my adulthood. Well, my joint pain problems started to show themselves at 23, but my chasing of carbohydrates started showing itself at 10 years old. The argument that your healthy body will keep you safe while you get bored of junk food very likely doesn't apply to any of us, unless you fall in that 7% or 12 to 7%. If you're in that little group, but I can tell you with clarity, it didn't apply to me, but it gets worse. Because even if you happen to be metabolically healthy, research shows that insulin resistance only takes about a month to be detected. You know, like when you start overeating carbohydrates on repeat over and over and over again. I'm looking back. I started eating high carb at 8 months old, 9 months old, 10 months old, however old I was. That explains my seeking behavior at 10 years old. If we don't change our diet, it only gets worse. It's not going to get better. The high carbohydrates are still coming in. Chasing carb is something that happens because we are not, like, they try to tell us that it's our restricting that makes us chase carbohydrate. That is not why we're chasing carbs. It's not because we're restricting. It isn't because something that is happening and we just don't try hard enough. That's not why we are chasing carb. It's not because we're not putting in the effort to not go for it. Because again, going back to what they said, all we need to do is eat it and it's going to make it right. We're not going to want it anymore. So they throw us everything. It happens because of biological wiring and manipulation of food science. Those two things together, the biological wiring and the manipulation of food science, is why we chase and crave and eat things that we know are harming our health and making our life miserable. Wasn't able to walk and limping around looking like I was 80 when I was only 46. We are told that we'll have keto flu when we start a keto diet, as if the only thing that matters about that situation is electrolytes. And I'm bringing this up here because it's related. I'm going to show you how it's related to this idea of why we chase. They tell us stories, Wellness Warrior. Yes, electrolytes are involved in why our body feels horrible when we start carbohydrate, like reducing the carbohydrates in our diet. Keto is not a zero carbohydrate diet. Okay? We're still eating carbohydrates, 20 grams of carbs or less. It's what they tell you to do. This electrolyte thing is not the full story. What's actually happening to us is we're having withdrawal. I know because I lived through it. That's what helped me to understand that I was having withdrawal. Because when I validated with myself, because I work in this kind of stuff, what the symptoms I was living were, I could see, oh my goodness, I went through withdrawal. You don't go through withdrawal unless you have something to withdraw from. Let's talk about what happened to me on the third day of trying to bring my carbs down to 20 or less. Because Wellness Warrior, I wasn't even close to getting my carbs down to 20 or less. Every meal was still about 70, between 70 and 100. I was trying my best, but I was failing miserably to get, well, if you're talking about getting to 20. Even at 70 to 100, my third day, I was out of control. With 100 grams of carbs still in my diet, I was in the kitchen looking for fruit. Yeah, the stuff I hate. And if you don't know me here, I hate fruit. On regular diet throughout my entire adulthood, I didn't eat fruit because I hate it. I barely ate vegetables. So me in the kitchen looking for the stuff I hate, that tells you something, right? Because we know people who look for other stuff crazily when, right? We know that story for other stuff. I was doing it for food and fruit. I was extremely hungry. Like moments after eating a huge breakfast of bacon and eggs, I was extremely hungry again. I had a huge headache. Like my head was killing me. Day 3, right? My mood was ridiculous. It was not good at all. Not nobody wanted to be around me. And I knew that I shouldn't be eating anything that had high carb, but I was searching for it anyway, Wellness Warrior. Luckily for me, I didn't have any fruit in the house because I hate it. But that was not a good day for me, not even in the slightest little bit. Our brain changes in response to what we're eating. And it happens fast, as you can see from what I just described to you. There was some research that they did where they had men eat an extra 1,500 calories of ultra processed food, again, calories for whatever, cookies, chips, candy, and fast food for 5 days in a row. After the 5 days in a row, they tested their brain and they found that the reward and motivation regions of their brain had responded differently than before they did the 5 days of eating. Like it was actually responding differently. The regions that decide how appealing food is, or like, and not or, and how much it will get attention from us had changed. And even when they were back to doing their normal diet for a full week without eating any of those extra, so they just took out the extra ultra processed foods. Whatever would normally be in their diet was still there, right? But being back to their normal diets, they didn't get back to their normal brain responses right away after a full week of eating normally. Their brain changes were still there. When our brains change, It takes time for them to resume normal functioning. And all of that assumes that you stop engaging with the ultra processed stuff, which, are we doing that? When we bring a new kind of cookie into our life, we're eating it. And we might not eat it every single day on repeat, although I could put my hand up that I probably would have done that. But even if you don't, what we're seeing is that you eat it and your brain starts changing. And whether it takes your brain a month, a year to change, it's hard for it to change back. It just doesn't go back like that. So when they tell us to indulge so we get used to it, does that really mean we won't want it anymore? Think about yourself before I go on to tell you what the research says. When you indulge in something, when you say, oh my God, I'm just going to have it this one, is what happens to you that you don't want it anymore? Okay, I'm waiting to hear your answer. But the research gave people sugary drinks every day for 21 days and scanned their brains before and after. Okay? The reward response to actually drinking the drinks went down. So, for clarity, what they're saying is that they were testing them because they were having them come in intermittently in the middle of this, and they would drink the drink, and they were testing how was their brain reacting. And as time progressed, the response they were giving to drinking the drink in the actual room was going down. That's tolerance, needing more of the drink just to feel normal. That's tolerance, wellness warrior, happening from a sugary drink. Now, where else do we see tolerance happening? Where you start off feeling a little tipsy from one, and then it takes two, or then it takes five, or then we know another place where this happens. But the response in the brain's control center, so it's another part of the brain, same experiment, the part that's supposed to slow you down, so supposed to tell you, hey, enough, come on, right? It also went down when people just saw the logo. So no drink involved. Now, we showed them an image of a logo, and their slow down, their inhibition thing, it was not firing the same way. Now, here's what this means. I'm going to say this, what it actually means, that second part. They didn't react slower like you'd expect if they were used to seeing it by now. Every day when they were drinking that drink, they had it in the can. They were looking at the label. They actually reacted faster. Their brain's inhibition slowing down means that they reacted faster. Something in them was reaching for it before they even had the chance to think about reaching for it. Do we understand what that means? But to make it more clear, let's go back to talking about me. That's what was happening to me on day 3, and probably for years before that. It's not that I didn't have any control. That's not what was happening. It's that the part of my brain responsible for control was measurably doing a worse job than it was doing before. It was not putting the brakes on. It was not stopping me from going for the chocolate or the cookies or looking for fruit, right? It was not putting the brakes on because I had engaged with that salt, sugar, fat combination enough time. Even just engaging with the sugar can do it. Ones where there's other studies that show that, but the just one bite story that you've already ruined it, might as well eat the whole thing story that our brain tells us. These kind of sentences come from the diet world, Wellness Warrior. These are shaming sentences meant to keep us failing while they pretend to be motivating us or helping us to ease our suffering. Just have one. You'll be okay after you just have one. Do you see all the contradiction? Have them so that you don't care about it. But then when I'm chasing it, oh, but just have some of it so that your body can just feel at ease, right? And do we see? And then, well, you took some, just eat it all. Now it's my fault. When we hear something enough times, we carry it in our head. It becomes the thought that runs with us over and over. We all know to say please and thank you because our parents said it that many times, 1,000,000, 3,000,000 times. Please and thank you, please and thank you. And we say please and thank you. That was inserted by our parents. And if you listen carefully, because I know when I listen carefully, I can still hear my mom and dad saying it in my head. We need to understand that the voice in our head telling us that it's okay to eat the chocolate bar is not us. We actually know that if we eat the chocolate bar, we're going to be on a rampage. And that rampage could last for a few days, or it could last for weeks. We know that. We've lived this before. This is not new. We've lived it before. We hear that voice because we've been eating these foods for so long. We don't have enough strength against hearing them. Our brain is reacting, and the diet culture sentences start running, right? Start your diet on Monday. You can always start on Monday. Don't worry about it. Fruit is sweet and harmless treat, Violet. You can just have some fruit and you'll be fine. These sentences pull us back into eating poorly, pull us off our plan that we have for ourselves. And if I had listened to that fruit lie, if I would have had fruit in my house, I might have eaten it and everything might have fallen apart. But as soon as we realize that the voice in our head is not our voice, we can stop believing that we need to listen. These aren't helpful suggestions that we're being given by ourselves. They're not even helpful suggestions from our parents. I would listen to that. They are sabotaging lies. And we say no to liars, Wellness Warrior. Right? We call out the people who are trying to trick us out of our health. That's why we come together and have these conversations, to say no to the people who are trying to steal our health. The voice in our head is not an ally. It's a food company salesman trying to get us back on the subscription plan. Now you see it, right? You see it clearly that the voice is not you. So now you can take the next step, because the next step is important, right? Controlling cravings isn't simply about starting fresh, starting over, right? Because if that was what it was, every time you started your diet back over on Monday, you wouldn't have to restart it ever again. This is not just about starting over. You actually will be removing the cues from your environment that trigger your overeating. That automatic snacking that we do. So like we do it, for example, after a meal. So whether it's supper or breakfast, because we have dessert after breakfast, right? When we go get that bowl of fruit after we've already eaten breakfast, that is dessert. The snacking and desserts after meals are done, right? And they can't happen if chocolate isn't in the house, if cookies aren't in the house, if a pile of fruit isn't in the house. Now, you know that the salesman is in your head, right? That person isn't you, it's a salesman. When you've completed your meal and you get that push for dessert, that's the salesman, right? When you don't have their samples, this stupidness, when you don't have their samples around your house, you can't actually believe their lies. You can't fall off, right? We need to remove all of the fun treats and snacks out of our house. You need to change your physical environment so that the temptation isn't present. Because if you try to resist it, if you try to resist it, it's not going to work. Because Let's say you have the stuff in your house because your husband or your kids want it, right? And you say, I'm just not going to eat it. That salesman is going to find the sentence that gets you to eat it, because that's his job, to find the sentence that's going to get you to eat it, wellness warrior. And I need you to see that clearly. I need you to understand that's his job. For the first month, at the minimum, all the junk needs to be out of your house. All the high carbohydrate treats and fruit needs to be out of your house. This isn't about deprivation, wellness warrior. Not at all. This is about you learning that you can finish a meal and not have dessert. That I can finish a meal, feel the satisfaction and I feel good, and get on with my day. Go do something else that's not revolving around eating. You want to see that you can make it between meals without snacking, right? Eat enough and make it from breakfast to lunch to supper. You actually need to live a month or maybe even 2 without engaging with junk to know for sure that when you're around it, you'll say no. Because that's actually the next part, right? This thing that I'm saying to you, and the reason that I can sit here with this dumb stuff in front of me and not eat it, even these low calorie stupidities that they try to put pawn off us will make you chase. The reason I can sit here with that stuff on my desk is because I don't care about it anymore. When you're out and about and you say no to junk, you're actually saying yes to your health. You're saying yes to me. My health matters. This is the most important thing. When you stop eating garbage, your cravings will actually stop, wellness warrior. And I can tell you, it feels amazing to not be constantly thinking about food. I think about food when I get hungry, and then I will go make something to eat. I keep things in my fridge that I can cook because I only cook. I do not eat any prepackaged foods. Doesn't happen anymore. Well, no, bacon is prepackaged. I'm sorry. I still eat bacon. But I don't cook anything that I don't need to cook. So let me put it like that. I don't eat anything I don't need to cook. Being able to see the junk around me, whether it's here in my house, out at the grocery store, at a friend's house, when I go to my parents' place, my mom still bakes bread, sweet bread, that I still remember how sweet bread tastes, and I haven't eaten it in years. That's how much it was in my history. I still remember how it tastes. As I'm saying the words to you, I can envision the taste in my mouth, and I still don't eat it. Right? Being able to be around junk food, high carbohydrate food, foods that's harming my body, and not care is priceless, wellness warrior. It is priceless. It's really the difference between fighting with myself every day and living in peace and living my life and doing activities. All the bike riding, I'm already put up 6 different vehicles that I've ridden over the summer. Not all the videos. I still have a few more to put up, but just showing you, I pull them out, I'm riding them, I'm having fun with them. The peace you have. Now, I have another video that's talking about cravings. If you want to go deeper on this topic, it's linked in the description. It's the watch next video. But I need you to understand that this is it. This is how we beat cravings, by understanding that they are linked to our compulsion, and that compulsion is beyond our control. That's how we do it. If you guys want to help me make more deep dives and more videos like this, I really would appreciate if you go down and click on the links to become channel members or supporters in one way or another, because there's Patreon, there's there's direct support. And I do appreciate right now this I think this is a super chat. Thank you very much. Super fluidity of naughtiness. I'm not sure. 8 months into being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So I'm so sorry to hear that that diagnosis was there. Still can't get off addictive carbs. Very hard when family have these kind of, yeah, prop foods lurking in the corners. I would really encourage you to read, oh my goodness, what's the book called? No, I'm not going to remember. I'm blanking on the book. I just got this book and I'm reading it. It's about iodine. Um, David Brownstein, iodine book. I'm reading through it because I will be making a video on it soon. Let me actually look it up for you because I'd really want you to go take a look at this book. I will actually read through this book because I think that he says a lot of things about cancer and iodine that I absolutely believe will help you to have a different perspective and hopefully improve your health along with all the work you're doing with your doctors in trying to, I don't know, I'm not really 100% sure with stage 4. Obviously, I'm not gonna be able to find the app now to even go. I think I bought it off of Amazon. Let's see, Brownstein. But yeah, these are the kind of things that you should be able to look up and get the best information on how to help yourself. Yeah, I think it's the iodine, why you need it. I think that's the one I have right now. Yeah, yeah, I purchased it in June. Yeah, iodine, why you need it and why you can't live without it. That's the book that I'm talking about. And that has been giving me some very interesting perspective, and I'm going to make a video on it as soon as I get through the book. But obviously, this is part of the reason I would like a little assistance making, like, so financial assistance so I can make more videos, because I'm working all day, right? Like Monday is the one day that I take a break to make these live streams for you guys. And everything else I'm doing is happening after work. So being able to dedicate like a few days to making the research that I need to do, reading the books I need to read in order um, to make the videos that are going to help you would be much appreciated. So thank you very much for that super chat. And like I said, if anybody wants to join, become a supporter in any of the ways that I have listed down below, please, I would appreciate it. Obviously, the one that's my direct link means that there's no middleman and I just get that finance. I want to say, great, Donald, that you, and I don't know if that's your real name, but I'm loving that you can control it, because that's what we want to be able to do, is control what we're doing and be able to like eat real food and only eat real food. Let's see. So I'm so happy to have you here. Good morning. If you guys have questions that you want me to answer, anything you want to say or like ask me about that I can offer answer for you, I'm willing to do that today. I'm going to stay on for as long as I can and answer as many questions as I can. Hello, Maria. How are you doing? Nice to have you here. I'm actually just happy that you guys just want to say hi. It gives me a bit of an idea that there are people here, because, you know, just talking to a camera, it's not always obvious that there are people watching. Hello from South Carolina. And this is Maccabees. Nice having you here. I'm not sure if you're the same South Carolina people, but I have someone else that says South Carolina, and that name doesn't seem like the same one. So hello. And I've never been South California, not South Carolina, South California. I've never been to California, I don't think. I've only been to 2 places in the US. I've been to New York. No, I've been to more than 2 places. I've been to Plattsburgh, which, no, I think that's in New York too. So I've been to New York, and I've been to Florida. Yeah, I think that's it. So I've been to New York and Florida. So I haven't traveled. Oh, Las Vegas. I've also been to Vegas. So I haven't traveled much in the US. Hopefully one day. Nice show. Thank you very much, Vampire. I appreciate that. And let's see, my son brought some sourdough bread from a very well-known bakery yesterday. Sourdough has always the type of bread that I used to eat. I haven't had it for over a year. Amazingly, it didn't taste good. So that's good for you because if it had tasted good, that would probably have been a problem. So I'm going to start there, right? I feel this is why I know a lot of people like to test these things and see like how will I react, but I honestly I haven't touched any any of these kind of silly things. I haven't touched any of these things since 7 years. No, I can't say 7 years ago. I would say since 6 years ago. The reason that I decided to stop touching these things is very simple. I realized that, first of all, every time that I would have a little something, I would get pulled back in. Now, I might just have more insulin resistance than you have because I was highly insulin resistant. Like I said, chasing from 10 years old, 23 to 46, inflammation that was just making my life miserable. Overweight from like the last 10 years of that. So 36 to 46, or maybe even 35, like something like that. I was overweight. Like it was not great for me. So when I realized that these silly things were what was causing my problem, especially the chocolate, but I ate cookies, I ate ice cream, I ate other things. I ate pizza for supper. I ate things that I now today know were contributing to my weight, contributing to um my inflammation and my health issues, my rashes. I didn't mention the rashes before, but I had so many things. I have a long list, and one day I'm probably just going to get on here and just read you all the different things. That could be a live stream all by itself. Just me reading you through the list of things that I now know were caused by the garbage I was eating because I stopped eating the garbage and they went away. So, one of the things that I will say is that lucky for you that you found it tasted poorly. And eating, had you eaten it and it tasted good, you might have been in a problem. But the other thing that I'm going to say, because let's flip it around for a second, what would have happened if you ate it and you went off the rails? Sometimes people go off the rails and then they're not able to get back to eating healthy. Like it takes them starting over. And part of the problem with starting over, especially when we're talking about scenarios that involve withdrawal, is every time you try to start over again, your brain, because you went back to the problem, re-solidified that pathway, and now it's holding on to it a little bit tighter because it's back on, right? Like that feeling that I have that I need this to feel normal. I now know when I remove it, I'm not going to feel normal. And that makes my like, right? We try to feel normal. So we just try to keep having it there and having it there. And if we don't understand that, we keep letting things come back. Every time we try to go back to eating healthy, it's harder. And it's whether it's eating healthy, whether it's like anything that we can have a compulsion towards, right? Like same thing happens when you quit gambling and you start gambling again. Anything that can have that kind of problem because our brain is going to see that, oh no, they're going to take it away. Like it's being taken away. So that part of the loop happens once you've gotten yourself in a good position and decide to go back. Now, another thing that I'm going to point out, why the food actually tasted bad. Yes, our taste buds will change. So if I've done a year on eating only healthy things and I haven't had any bread, then the bread won't taste good because my mouth has now been trained on meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and low glycemic vegetables. You're not eating grains or, right? Like you're not eating these processed things. Your mouth has been trained. So your taste buds take, I think it was like 7 to 8 weeks for your taste buds to turn over. So like that your entire mouth is tasting food differently. if we get, so let's even push it to 3 months. If you just get through 3 months of eating properly, then you've trained your mouth now that what you're actually eating is going to taste not just okay, which is what I think a lot of people don't want to do it, right? They're eating their meals and it's just like, oh, that whole, I feel like I'm eating rabbit food, right? Like that thing that we say, right? What we don't realize is that if we eat the rabbit food for 3 months, by the end of 3 months, that rabbit food tastes delicious. That's what we don't understand. So, and I saw this before I continue. I saw this. When my daughter was born and I first started to give her food, so solid foods, all of the sweet stuff she would fight me on. And I didn't just see it in my daughter. My daughter and my niece and my nephew, I was there for their first meals, like not their very first meal, but their early meals. They always ate the bland stuff and would be like fussing for the sweet stuff. Like that's something that I've had other parents tell me too. I'm talking like really young. I'm talking when you first start introducing their food. Now, because I'm the kind of person that didn't want to force my daughter to eat stuff because I grew up being made that whatever's in front of you, that I didn't want that for me. I didn't force her to eat what she didn't like. And I had a good pediatrician that told me she's eating the vegetables, don't care about the fruit. Because that was at the time, fruits were the sweet things in her meal, and sweet potato. She didn't like sweet potato either. The fruits and the sweet potato, and my pediatrician said, it doesn't matter. The other vegetables have what she needs. Don't fight with her. So I didn't. And you know what? Even when I took the restriction of sweet, so like candy, because she wasn't allowed to have candy until 4 years old. When I took the restriction of candy off and she was allowed to have candy at 4, she didn't like it. It's not an automatic thing that we like sweet. The same way that other cultures have other flavors that they run towards because they've been eating them their entire lives. And for us, we're like, whoa, right? Like, ooh, I don't know about the fishy flavorings in the Orient, or ooh, I don't know about the whatever that's happening in Africa or what. Like every country has its own flavor profile that's gonna be slightly different than what we're looking for. And what we need to understand is that if we lived there long enough, we'd get used to eating the way that they eat, because that would be what was available to us and we would eat it. And that means here in Canada or US or wherever you're watching this from, if you eat real food, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt on repeat, and stop eating garbage, your mouth will adjust to liking real food. So that meat, the animal protein, animal fat, and if you do eat low glycemic vegetables, whatever low glycemic vegetables you eat, that will start to taste amazing to you. It'll taste amazing to you. And you know what else? I'll tell you something else that I've noticed. Because this is how we don't even realize the power of what we tell ourselves. Because we tell ourselves we need variety. We tell ourselves we like things, even if that thing is harming our health, right? There's a lot of people that put something down. So let's say you were doing keto and then transition to carnivore, and then you say, oh no, I want to have a little bit of something that's keto. So you right. But then people don't realize that the reason when you have that thing and it's tasting so amazing to you, so that salad or whatever, because it's bringing back that loop that you were in. And if we don't realize that something as simple as salad or a vegetable that when I was eating standard diet, I didn't care at all about. Now that I'm eating carnivore, I'm chasing. If I don't see that connection, then I'm not going to be able to help myself to understand why that's happening to me. Okay, let's move on to the next comment. 0 is on eggs and tuna. That helped me when I went through chemo. Zero in on eggs and tuna. That helped me. Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's a very helpful piece of data, because obviously cancer, I'm saying obviously, and maybe this is not obvious to everybody, but cancer thrives in sugary environments. And every time that we eat carbohydrate, we are delivering sugar to our bodies. that it doesn't need, by the way, as I said in the video, our body doesn't need us to eat any carbohydrate because our body makes all the carbohydrates that it needs. So yes, I do think that if you zero in on eating, so eggs, tuna, but even eating meat, fish, poultry, like eating the things that are less carb heavy will help. But that was what you were mentioning, is that you're currently having an issue because you're going towards the high carb things. And by the way, let me point this out to you because I think this is another thing that doesn't get talked about enough. When I'm struggling, that is actually when I'm going to be most likely to try to self-soothe. And when we eat these kind of things, right? When we're touching this stuff, and this was what it was for me. Like, so, but your thing of choice will be different. Some people, it's popcorn. You realize popcorn is, again, salt, sugar, the corn, and fat, right? The butter that they put on it, or the oil, the seed oils, because it's not even real butter usually. But when we go back to these things that make us feel good, they are actually chemically making us react and feel good. It's not just the dopamine. There's serotonin release, there's all kinds of different opioid effects. Like, our body feels good even though we are being damaged. And that's what we need to also understand. We are much more likely when we get bad news to think about going, so that salesman in our head starts talking and we want to go get the thing that's going to make us feel better, right? Better. I can tell you, Wellness Warrior, for myself, when I was eating keto, every time that I had a hard day at work, I wanted nuts. That would be the thing that came to my head. Every time I had a problem with anybody, I wanted nuts. Anytime there was something to celebrate, I wanted nuts. Why nuts? Because nuts was still the carbohydrate thing that I was allowing in my life, right? I was eating low glycemic vegetables. They tasted fine to me, but they were meals. Whenever there was a need for something right now, I wanted nuts. That's my brain reaching for the thing that's going to bring Violet back up to feeling normal. And we need to understand that that happens because obviously eating the vegetables were also keeping me feeling normal, right? There's carbohydrate coming in there. But then I got upset. Something made me, right? And now my brain is trying to get me back to normal. And that's where the nuts come in, right? You living what you're living right now, it's stressful. Your body's already dripping a little bit of cortisol into you to try to keep you fighting the good fight because you want to stick around. But understand that that little drip that's happening can still cause your insulin to manage it, and therefore, right? Because the fight you're fighting isn't physical. It isn't you running out and wrestling a bear. It's psychological. It's take care of yourself. It might be rest. You don't need extra sugar for that, but because you're stressed, the the cortisol is dripping, right? So my suggestion to you is, yes, eat the best quality food that you can. And I don't know what you're going to do to break the cravings. I'll tell you what I would do. If I was in your situation, found out that I had cancer, and I know that eating low carb is possible now, because in my brain, I have cancer. Cancer grows in the sugar environment. I'm not eating any carbohydrates. The carbohydrates will be made inside my body like it's supposed to be. That would be the first change that I would make if I was in your situation. And then what I would do is anytime that I got any kind of emotional pull towards carb, I would eat bacon. Because why? Because I know I love bacon. I eat bacon anytime I have lunch. It's bacon. And then still I will have bacon. And if my meal that I'm making at the end of the day calls for bacon, I still put bacon in the meal because I like bacon that much. And that's not compulsive, because if I'm not hungry, I don't eat it. I eat it when I'm hungry. But I need you to understand that I would look at myself and I would try to insert the thing there that I know would help me to stick to what I want to do to keep myself healthy. Right? And it's better for me to eat a a few slices of bacon than to let myself eat the carbohydrate that I would be fearing is going to get into my body and help the cancer to continue to proliferate. And I really want you to watch or go and read the iodine book, because again, he says a lot of things about cancer and iodine that I did not know and shocked me. And I think more people should know. And I will be talking about it when I do my review of the book. But I just want to make sure I understand everything before I say anything. Um, it's been a while since my last live. Oh, so hello, Chris Hill. Thanks for being here. But I really enjoy this. Okay, cool. Your conviction really drove home the reasoning with the salesperson saying, have a bite. It's never worth it. I appreciate you taking the time to come in and write that, Chris, because it isn't. It is never worth it. And all it ever does is puts us in a position where we end up struggling with ourselves, being not happy with ourselves, which then when I'm not happy with myself, I'm going to want to self-soothe. I'm looking at food again. I appreciate you taking the time to share that. Hi, Pat. Um, Thank you for being here. And you actually, Pat being here reminds me to ask you, please share this video. When you share the video, it helps YouTube to understand that it's a quality video and they will put it in front of more people. And I would encourage you even to share it to yourself so that you can have it on a playlist. Any of the videos that I make that you find interesting that you might want to rewatch, share it to yourself. So you have your own playlist, because YouTube, sometimes you're trying to find something. Even if you go to my channel, if I've made another 20 videos since that video, sometimes it's hard to find things. All the doctors' videos that I like, I have them shared to myself in a Google document with the name of the video and what it was about. I give myself a little blurb so that when I want to go back and reference it and remember exactly what they had said, it's right there for me. So I started doing that, which is also a way for me to support all these different doctors that I do find amazing and help their channels to keep staying as high as possible. Because the people that are talking foolishness about carbohydrates, that are saying that carbohydrates are healthy and the best thing for us, their videos rank really high. I've noticed that, right? The videos that say that there's no problem with eating junk food rank really high. The sugar diet videos were ranking super high, right? So we need to support each other as much as we can. Timothy Allen O'Grady, hello. Good Monday morning from New Jersey. I'm glad I caught this live show, especially about sugar. So happy that I was able to put something out that was interesting to you, Timothy. Love having you here. Raven Blackwood, hi. Nice having you in here. Been watching you since 2020. Oh, thank you. And I'm so glad your videos have helped me. Thank you. I believe I have you on my list. As a matter of fact, anybody who's watching this, if my videos have helped you, I would love to have you on my list. I'm planning to make like a, I don't know if it's gonna be a poster or I want to make something with all the names of the people that my channel has helped. My goal is to help 1,000 people, but I think I'm gonna make the first poster at 100 and maybe update it every 100. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out what makes the most sense, but I'm currently in the 60s. So I need 40 more people to make that first poster happen. So please, if I've helped you, let me know. I would love to get this going and started. And I'm really excited about more people understanding not only about ketos. I think, keto, 20 grams of carbs or less, that's not complicated. We don't end up succeeding on keto because we don't understand why we get pulled away. We don't understand all the different hooks they have in the water to catch us, right? We just don't get it. Hello, Meeting Wellness. I'm very happy to have you here live. Thank you. I keep myself very selfish about my health, my well-being, my sobriety. I do it for me and nobody else, and you're correct. It's hard once you fall backwards. I've been off sugar now almost 2 years. Oh, yeah, it is hard when you fall backwards. I'm glad that you've put it down again, and I'm glad that you've got 2 years in again. And Yes, I mean, like I said, in my history, so I'll just talk about what's happened to me. I've had a few times where allowing those nuts into my diet pulled me off, and I had problems. And it took me a long time to really understand what was happening there. So, yeah, it's like it's not an easy thing when you're trying so hard to be healthy, but then like things happen that get in the way of the health you're trying to give yourself. And that voice in your head is one of the implants that I think not enough people talk about. So I'm talking about it. I want you guys to understand that's not you. Because look, there's not a person that I've ever talked to about this who said, yes, I absolutely want to sabotage myself. There's not a person I've ever talked to who said, yes, I want to eat the bad food and ruin my weight or ruin my health more or end my progress that I was doing. Nobody ever says that. It's always the same response. I don't know why I did it. It's always the same response. I felt out of control. That's the reasons that I get. Not it was purposeful. Not now sometimes it was calculated because they believed the lie that if you just eat some, you're going to feel better. It's not true. Raven says, good morning. Recently discovered that my iodized salt has sugar. Switched to Redmond's real salt and removed the other salt. Took 8 days to detox and fight cravings I never knew I had. You're saying sneaky sugars. I'm saying sneaky bastards. That's what I'm saying. Because wow. So I would love to know if you could tell us what was the brand so that and other people that are in here that might be um having that brand, we can just call it out and they can like avoid it. Because yeah, like I know that the salt they sell at they sell the salt they give you at McDonald's has sugar in it. I found that out watching a Saladino video. But this luckily here in Quebec, both the salt companies that are local don't add anything. Do both of them not add? The one that I was using didn't add. I can't say for sure the other one didn't add anything to their salt. But I switched to Himalayan pink salt anyway because of the other minerals in the salt. So, but yeah, we were lucky that that was not an issue of them adding sugar. I don't think, at least not for the brand that I was actually purchasing. And right now I can't remember the name of the brand because I haven't used it in so long. Let's see. Superfly says, oops. Yeah. So yeah, whenever we have any kind of compulsions, and I think I did get it that I did read that correctly. But anytime we have any kind of compulsions, we need to be careful. I'm really trying hard not to say that word because when you say it, your videos get so. It's part of the reason I'm trying to use different words. So if you guys wouldn't mind not using that word, if you can say compulsion, you can say dependence, but like just try not to put that word because when I'm reading, I end up reading it accidentally. Um, Thanks for the show. You're so strong and really encouraging. Do you do carnivore or keto? Also, do you eat sticks of butter? What say you about doing so? Interesting. I am carnivore the last 2 years. That's the first part. I just want to back up a minute though. I'm not strong. I think, and I'm correcting that because I'm just like you. You're just like me. Like we're not that different. Why am I saying that? Because when I was doing standard diet, just like you, I was all over the place, kill myself to lose 20 pounds, and then resume eating normally because I was so hungry, losing the 20 pounds. The thing that they tell us to do to lose weight and get our health back is not sustainable. So if it's not sustainable, there's nothing else for us to do there, right? We have to put down the lie that standard American dieting can work because clearly it can't. How can I say that so emphatically? If standard American dieting could actually work, then none of us would be overweight. We would eat the way that we're being told to eat and everything would be good. That's part one. But part two, and I wish I could remember her name, but the lady who was working on the standard American diet processing, like when they first made that food pyramid, the lady that was making it told the government that if we put 3 servings of fruits and vegetables, people will gain weight. It's documented that the doctor, scientist, told them that, and they put 4 to 6. So she said, don't put 3. It has to be 2 or less. And they put 4 to 6. Wellness warrior, does that sound like they didn't know what they were doing? And that's, you don't take my word for it. Look it up. I wish I could remember her name so I could tell you who to look up, but look it up. As in one of my previous videos, I had said her name. So like, we need to understand that, right? This is purposeful. Now, the other thing you asked me was, do I eat sticks of butter? No, I don't eat sticks of butter. I did used to put butter in my coffee because at the time I was trying to keep myself from losing weight because I didn't like the way I looked when I was too thin. I'm currently fine with how I look, and I don't find myself too thin, first of all, but I'm fine with how I look. And even if I were to lose weight now, I don't think I would be losing it as quickly because I've been stable. So I've been stable for how many years now? But even if I would lose a little bit of weight, because we fluctuate, right? Like two to 3 pounds up and down is normal. And I recognize that. I hover around a number. And so even if I were the 2 to 3 pounds under the number, I still find that I look fine. So I'm not fighting myself on that front anymore. That's number one. But number two, as I mentioned to you earlier, like, I eat when I'm hungry and I eat more food than probably most of you think. So I can regularly, I would say at least 5 to 6 times a week. There might be a day where I'm not hungry, but 5 to 6 times a week, I'm hungry at lunchtime and have about like 300 grams of bacon every day. Well, almost every day. Maybe there's one day I might not be hungry and I won't have it. Sorry about that. And then at supper time, I have a pound of meat every day and about 300 grams of some kind of seafood, whether it's straight up salmon. Well, no, if I'm having salmon, I'm more likely to have salmon as my main pound and then have like 2 or 300 grams of something else. Like lately I've been adding 200 grams of, what do you call that stuff? Pork belly, right? So regardless of how you flip this around, I'm eating more, like that's 2 pounds plus. Is that 2 pounds plus? 300. Yeah, 2 pounds plus of meat and fish per day. And I'm stable on my weight. So throughout my process of switching from keto to low carb keto, so keto to like 10 grams of carbs per day keto to like barely 3 grams of carbs a day keto, when I was doing like one meal every other day or something like that. Like there were 2.5 meals per week that I was eating any carbohydrate at all, and the other days I was doing just meat, fish, poultry, eggs. Or then when I switch to actual carnivore, where in carnivore, all I eat is meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt, period. No other spices. That's it. So when you look at that, all of that, I'm stable. I've gone through all of these changes and my weight stays the same because as I make the changes, I just listen to what my body's asking me for. And this is where I've come up to. Like the other day, I was doing the math on it. One of my meals was one of my days worth of meals was almost 3,000 calories if you were going to do it like that, right? But there was no carb in it. I was just trying to do the number to try to visualize like that I doubled what I was taking in back when I was doing weight loss, because I would be around 1,500 and I would on weight loss get myself even under the 1,500 because I wanted to lose weight so badly. We are not lazy. We are not trying. The thing they're telling us to do just doesn't work. So I hope I answered your questions properly. John's and grass hangout and beef. Grass hangout and beef and reef. Sorry, blah. John's grass hangout and reef. I hope I answered your question appropriately. And if you have follow up, you can ask me. Silverado Shooting Academy. Always love your chest. Thank you for taking the time to let me know. I do appreciate that. So John again says, when I eat some carbs, how long would you say it takes me to get back into a ketogenic state? I keep slipping, but I'm getting back up. Let's go, healthy lifestyle people. What I will say, John, is that because you're telling me you keep slipping, you might be falling into that category that it can take up to 5, even 7 days. Because what I've understood now that I did more and more research on this is that, if, like, for example, if I were to slip somehow, let's say I went to a restaurant, they told me, oh, there's no blah 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 in it, but then I eat it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just had a mouthful of some kind of carbohydrate. My body is going to respond appropriately, and likely I won't chase if I just tasted it and that's all I did. If I eat the meal anyway, I might have a reaction. I might start feeling like, oh no, like I want this. But if I don't eat anything else, because I've been 2 years now doing this, might be able to get back in within 48 hours. So like under 48 hours, if you're really doing well and adapted and right, like my chasing might be gone. But what I've understood is that when you are still insulin resistant, when you are constantly pushing yourself out, when these issues are happening regularly, yeah, it could take you several days, like 5 to 7 days to get back in. So even if we do 5, which is the number I always try to go for the lower number, even if we do 4, if I chased on Friday, then maybe, like, if I'm able to chase that one day, then I have 4 days, right? So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. By Wednesday, I'm back in. Thursday, I'm good. But if I cheat again on Friday, I only spent 2 days in versus I'm going to spend 5 days out every time. We need to understand how bad that is for our health. That basically means that you're more out, that you're not doing what you're thinking that you're doing. So all the effort that you end up doing getting back in, broken the next weekend. Now let's say it takes you 2 weeks. Okay, great. So now you have 5 days, and then you have 7 and 3. So you have 10 days, right? Sorry, 9 days that you'd be good. But is 9 days with 5 days that you're out, is your body actually going to be able to clean up enough compared to the damage that came in when you ate that high carbohydrate meal? It's another thing people don't think about, because it's like, I tell you, I used to have this example that I gave a lot. If I had a cut on my hand. So if I had a cut here and it's healing nicely, and then I accidentally knock it and it rips open again, it's not going to heal as cleanly, first of all. But if I'm careful, it's going to start healing again, and then somehow I knock it open again. It's going to keep getting worse. And if that happens enough times, I will get an infection. So we need to understand that just because we can't see the damage happening internally doesn't mean that the damage that is being done by these carbohydrates that we keep ingesting, that is causing glycation and all kinds of damage, isn't doing things that we don't want it to be doing. So that's what I'm going to say there. I really encourage you to look at it from that perspective, because that's the perspective that's going to give you a better understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. Because it really only matters what you're trying to accomplish. If good health is what you want, then eat for good health. And that's every day, because I need to build my body. My body needs the building blocks to do the renovation that's constantly happening, because it's constantly happening. We don't take a break. It's not like when you have a house where you do a room and you could say, okay, I'm not going to do anything else for a year. Your body is renovating every day. So it needs the right tools and the right building blocks and the right fuel source every day. We need to understand that our brain is made with animal protein and animal fat every day. So give your body what it needs. Your videos have helped me. Oh, thank you. I'm going to add you to my list. We interviewed you online. Oh, a while back. Okay. And it was fantastic getting to know you a bit better. Cool. That is so cool. Okay. I'm glad that you're here listening. That's cool. Um, it's in the brand from Walmart. But I believe Morton's has sugar in it too. So Walmart brand salt and Morton's brand salt, according to Raven, have some sugar in it. So check your labels. She's not sure about the one like about the Morton's is that she thinks, but like just check both of them. If you use either of those salts, just check your label and validate. Because if there is sugar in it, yeah, that could explain why you're struggling. You're salting your meat, and especially if you're salting your meat appropriately, like Dr. Barry has told us to do. Barry and Nico Landino. I saw that video years ago. It's in my list of the ones that I have saved for myself. They were told us to salt our meat because we need salt. It's for our good health. Raven says I was mixing Himalayan pink salt with the iodized salt to try to get more iodine. Turned out I was getting small hits of sugar. Okay, that's so frustrating. That is very frustrating. Here in Canada, the Himalayan pink salt does have um, iodized versions. But what I learned, and again, I'm going to have a video that's coming out about it, but Dr. Barry did talk about this too, that the iodized salt doesn't hold on to the iodine enough. Like it releases it back out into the air. The same reason that if you put iodine in water, and I did this, I wanted to see what would happen. If you put iodine in water and just let the water sit there, eventually it goes clear because the iodine will evaporate out. So we need to be a little bit more careful with our iodine. Like I definitely think that there's more to learn about iodine than what I originally knew. I'm learning right now, but supplementation is obviously important from what I understand to this moment. And again, I'm going to talk more about it when I do the video. Going zero carb, one meal per day, will have almost the same effect as prolonged water fasting. It's amazing. I don't know about that data because I've never actually looked into it, but I mean, I will say that when you only eat real food, your body gives you a lot more time in between meals. And like I said, like I do find myself getting hungry for lunch. I take that as a sign that my body is repairing something. That's how I take that. That my body, because I would, again, I'm not, I feel like my body is working hard at rebuilding me right now. And I've said this before, in by my year 20, maybe 20, like I only started carnivores 2 years ago. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to do 20 or 26 years, but I might do both. But I want to go and get retested for thalassemia to see like, could it have been the way I was eating that caused my body to just not be able to do what it was supposed to do? That's something I definitely want to validate. And if it's not that, that'll be good too. Like I've just to know, like it had no impact. But I just feel like there's so many things that we're told are hereditary, that we're told are autoimmune, that we're told that random, that when we change our food, go away. So I'm wondering about that one. But that's just me having a question mark. Dr. Louise Light is the one who advised against the grains, etc., on the food pyramid. Thank you, Meeting Wellness. I appreciate you looking that up. I appreciate that. Or maybe you just remembered it from your head. That's cool. I'm not that great with names. I will forget. Louise Light. Actually, I'm going to add her to my list of doctors that I have a list of doctors who taught us important things. Let's see, Louise. Thank you very much, Light. So I'm definitely going to add her to the list because even though she didn't teach me in a video, just knowing that she knew better and they didn't listen to her, I think she deserves to be on the list as just the same like Edelweiss taught us about washing our hands. You know that doctors should wash their hands before they do from one surgery to a next. Like these are things that if more people had listened earlier, how might our world be different? Hi Violet, this is Chris. Oh, Translation Stations. Thank you for giving me your name, Chris. I know my channel name is long. The struggle is real, but you can do it. May have to cut out every single carb. Just don't give up. It can be difficult. Thank you for saying that because, of course, we all can do it. We can improve our health. And you will go on to say, I am one who has been suffering really bad with the oxalate dumping. Yes, I remember you mentioned that. It's getting better now, slowly. Okay, that's cool. Now I'm down to cutting out even coffee. I cut coffee back in December, beginning of December, end of November, something like that. I can't remember exactly when now, but I have it written down. And I definitely saw a huge increase in my energy. Luckily for me, I didn't have any oxalate dumping. I haven't had any that I know about that appreciably take note of. So I've been very lucky. I did a lot of things, Wellness Warrior. Like, for example, I quit carnivore I went carnivore a few years ago. Like, so before 2 years ago, I tried out carnivore and then went back to doing keto, not realizing that that could have triggered an oxalate dump. That's why I tell people, like, when you make the decision and stick with it. Like, if you're not ready to stick with it, don't do it. What I ended up doing though was for myself, I went carnivore. I really liked it. I did it for 2 months, but then I brought back, that was when I started to do the 2 meals a week or 2.5 meals a week, where I was doing 2 different days, and every other weekend I was having a little bit of carb, and it was the same meal every time because that's the way that I do everything. So like, this is why I'm telling you that I know that the variety piece of the puzzle is a bunch of malarkey. I used to be the queen of looking for variety. I want to try every kind of chocolate and every kind of like cookie and like what, well, not every type of cookie, every kind of chocolate flavor cookie or cookie with chocolate in, I should say. Right? All the vanilla ice creams, like what's the difference between them? Like I was the person that wanted variety. And now I realize that I was just in their system, bliss point, bringing me round in circles and playing games with my head. Today, I eat the same thing on repeat, just like my cat, and we're both happy and fine with eating food. When it's time to eat food, we eat food. So I definitely think that we need to look at this a different way and understand that it's about eating real food. You said that you're the same, back on strict carnivore, almost 3 months now. More like lion, I think. So I don't call this strict. I call it eating what I was supposed to be eating. Again, I'm not stronger than anybody. I'm not more strict than anybody. When I feel like having pork, I have pork. When I feel like having chicken, I have chicken. If I go down to my freezer and all I had left in the freezer was pork and I was hungry, I'm eating pork because that's what's in the freezer. So I feel like on one hand, I have the luxury of being able to choose what I'm going to eat. But on the other hand, I'm telling you that, and it has happened where I make a lot of something and I'm just like, well, I don't want it to spoil. And I thought I would have eaten more of it than that. I'll eat it until it's done because especially pork belly, it took me a long time to figure out how much pork belly can I actually eat. And now that I know like about how much I can eat, I'm much more accurate in making it. I haven't made it in a long time, and maybe the number will change again. But the point is that I will eat the same thing day after day after day because at the end of the day, I'm not eating for entertainment. I'm eating food to build, repair, and keep my body healthy. Food variety is the argument you always get from people who you talk to about keto, carnivore, and low carb eating. Yeah, it is the argument, and it's not a real argument. It's what companies put in front of us to keep us believing that this brand is different than that brand is different than that brand, when underneath it all, they're all using the same base chemicals to create stuff like this, or worse, stuff like this or stuff like this, these protein bars, or, the pastas, like these things, even these supposedly keto things, yeah, there's Parmesan cheese in there. What other processing? We have like cultures and enzymes, and when they just say cultures and enzymes, we're assuming that there's only the cultures and enzymes that have to do with milk processing. That's not what it says. It doesn't say only the cultures and enzymes. It just says cultures and enzymes. I don't trust it. I don't encourage other people to trust it, because we have seen that companies have lied to us before. Even companies that started off giving us very amazing keto products because they were helpful to us, when the finance started to get into it, all of a sudden they changed what they were doing. So you said, in my case, I do have a lot of food allergies. Okay, so that plays a part in my I suppose strict outlook. So I feel like, and this is another thing I'm going to say, we all have some level of food allergies because we eat things that aren't food. So I put allergies in because we eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes that are toxic to humans, and we say that that's food. No, it's just that we're not reacting yet. Yes, we're bigger than bugs. So we have to eat more of it before the dose, right? The dose makes the poison. We say that all the time. We have to eat more of it before the dose gets us. But you have people like Sally Norton, who I interviewed, who was practically vegetarian. I don't know if she was actually vegetarian, but she was eating so much veg, working in the garden, eating all the veg, doing all the right things, and what did it do to her body? It like it wasn't great. The oxalate dumping that she went through and all the things that she ended up learning because she was doing the healthy things that we're told to do. So I definitely want to encourage all of you, right, to understand that there's not a person on this planet that isn't somewhat reacting. It's just how far into the path have they gone, right? Are they showing symptoms yet? And I know that's a strong opinion, but it's the opinion that I have because just because I don't react with anaphylaxis shock to peanuts doesn't mean that when I eat the peanuts, the stuff in there isn't doing to me what it's doing to the other person. It's just my body is managing it better. Managing it better and it not happening are not the same thing, Wellness Warrior. That's where they get us. They're telling us that, but you didn't have a reaction. That doesn't mean that my body didn't block the reaction by acting fast. But the reaction might have very likely, I would say, started. But then my body took care of it. So I don't know. Like I feel like we are too quick to believe this idea that if I don't see the reaction didn't happen. Our bodies are too complicated for that. And one thing I've learned is that even when I think I know something, there's going to be a piece of information that's come up and say, oh, you didn't know what you thought you knew. And oftentimes it's not that we're less sensitive to the bad food. It's usually the opposite. I have not been successful yet. You've not been successful yet. Well, I definitely will encourage you to stay on track. And the number one thing that I will say is don't go too fast. Like a lot of us, myself included, like I didn't succeed because I rushed myself. I succeeded because I did one thing. I had one. Dr. Westman, in his white coat video, gave us one task: 20 grams of carb or less, eaten to satiation. And he explained what satiation was. That's when you eat until you're not hungry anymore. That was the one task we had: 20 grams of carb or less, eaten to satiation. And you know what? Doing that absolutely worked. It was one thing. And then when I was able to do that one thing, and so to do that one thing, I had to learn a bunch of other things. But Wellness Warrior, all of my weight loss happened with doing that one thing, right? Everything I was learning was towards that one goal, all of it. Is this a high carb food or a low carb food? Take it out of my diet. Is this apple a high carb food or a low carb food? Take it out of my diet. Is rice a high food? Take it out of my diet. What about broccoli? Broccoli's fine. Keep it in my diet. That's all I was doing. Everything was, what about bacon? Bacon is fine. Keep it in my diet. It was all about carbs. I was not tracking fat. I was not tracking protein. Protein came later. And I do track protein in a way, but not in the way to keep it low. There's a minimum amount of protein that I want to get because Dr. Lehman helped me to understand we need protein. We need more than the RDAs tell us we need. So I eat more protein. That's why I have no fear of eating more than 2 pounds of meat and seafood in a day. No fear at all. I feel like I went on a tangent. 2 pages full. It's crazy. 2 pages of what? Oh, I missed what you were saying. I'm sorry. That's not landing for me. 2 pages of what? Sorry. I wonder how much of what we attribute to aging is really bad eating habits catching up with us over time. I would venture to guess a lot. I'll tell you right now that my joints hurt because I'm aging part of the story. No, my joints were hurting me because I was overeating carbohydrates and I was full of inflammation. I have a lot of people who your skin being all cracky and saggy like because you're old. No, my skin actually got better because I stopped eating all the junk and my skin has actually tightened up really nicely and it's looking much better. My skin is more hydrated, which is another thing that I like. It blows my mind. I'm not fully like as hydrated as I want to be yet, but again, my body's still repairing itself. It takes like 20-ish years to rebuild one of these things. And I'm only 2 years into carnivore. So that means the first 6 years I was doing this, I was still eating things that my body did not need me to eat, and therefore had anti-nutrients in them, and therefore was blocking the progress my body was trying to make. So yeah, just don't give up. Yeah, don't give up. None of us are giving up here. Perfect. You believe in this. That's terrific. 2 pages of food allergies. You have 2 pages of food allergies. Like I said, we all have sensitivities to food, whether they show up as a full-blown allergy or not, which is, I think, personally, why we feel the way we feel. I also think that because we're always eating vegetation, instead of being able to strategically use vegetation to correct something if we did get sick, it's just neutral for us. But I remember reading something a veterinarian was talking about how like animals, when they don't feel good, my dog used to do this all the time, when they don't feel good, would go and eat grass or a certain kind of leaf or whatever to help themselves feel better through that process. So yeah, vegetation has a place sometimes, as do spider webs. I remember that's another old like spider webs for headache, I believe it was. Like all kinds of things have their place. But should we be doing it all the time? Should we? No, it's the same reason that we shouldn't take antibiotics too much because it causes problems. Lonsbury, I hope that this video helped you. I can see that I'm at the end of our questions and we've been talking for an hour and a half. Love it. This was a great conversation. Please go down and check out, first of all, the links to help the channel grow and help me to have more time to make more videos. I would love that. And I do again appreciate the super chat that I got earlier. I appreciate that a lot. Actually, my link does allow you to make one-time contributions as well. If you use the one that's going to my website page, it allows you to make one-time contributions. And I really want you guys to know that I love making these videos for you. Next week, we'll be back with another 11:20 chat about whatever I need to go deep with you guys on to help you to see good health is something you absolutely can accomplish. So thank you, Angela Rose, sorry. Thank you very much, Translation Stations, and thank you, FR Humphrey. Have a good rest of your day, guys. I appreciate you. Share the video, and I'll talk to you guys again next week. Bye. Today's video is brought to you by My Keto Consultations. You know how to do keto, but you're having trouble just sticking with it? Book a consultation with me and we're going to get you back on track. The link is in the description.